Emergency services are on high alert again today as heavy rains continue. Cars were swept away and scores rescued in Centurion late yesterday when a hotel was flooded and cars swept away. Military choppers rescued 70 guests stuck in the hotel since Monday morning. Now, flash floods have occurred in some parts of Gauteng, including Centurion and Malungelo and Pretoria. Tshwane residents have been urged to avoid central Centurion while emergency services are busy with mop-up operations. Now, rain is expected to persist up until Wednesday. For the latest update on the floods, I'm joined now on the line by Newzroom Africa's Malungelo Booi, who's at the Hennops bridge in Centurion, tracking the situation there. Malungelo, a very good morning to you. We know that that bridge that you're standing at is one that's been identified by engineers as one that could collapse at any time. What are the latest developments as you stand there?
That's right. In fact, Mpo, the bridge has completely been closed to traffic, as you can see. There's vehicles that we're hoping to pass here, but actually they can't because of that warning from emergency services as well as engineers here at the city of Tshwane. As you can see, the Hennops River, Mpo, you can actually look at the force of this water, and I suppose really it just tells you the amount of rain that has been actually falling over the last few days here in Tshwane and as well as in other parts of Gauteng. But I also want you to see this on this bridge, and this is why exactly officials have actually been warning motorists not to actually use this bridge, warning that it could actually collapse. Look at that crack that's on the road, and that's why there is that warning that motorists can actually shouldn't actually use this bridge. And I mean, we've been moving around in several parts, just tracking, the weather situation, and I was talking to an official from the city of Tshwane saying that, I mean, there's been about 1,000 people that have had to be housed in various community centers because their homes have either been flooded by water or, homes blown away or damaged as a result of the current inclement weather conditions. And again, saying that they've had to move people to high grounds, especially those that are in low-lying areas. And we know, Mpo, that the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, and as well as MEC for Local Government and Human Settlements here in Gauteng, Lebogang Maile, are expected, in fact, in the next hour or so to visit some, community centers here in Mamelodi, those areas that in fact are housing those people that have been severely affected really by this weather. And I suppose, Mpo, now it's about assisting those that have been affected by this weather. I know officials from the city of Tshwane were actually saying that they were hoping that people would assist by providing food and blankets, especially to the people that have been displaced.
Now, Malungelo, as you stand there, we know that weather services have warned that the weather conditions could continue up until Wednesday. But perhaps give us some of your knowledge on the observations that you've witnessed throughout the city of Tshwane from the morning. I know that you've also been dealing with a substation that was set on fire. Just talk us through some of the dire implications of these floods, and perhaps exacerbated by the power outages and the load shedding situation in the country.
Paul, when you drive around some parts of Tshwane, you can actually see that some of the roads, actually, there's localized flooding, and you have to drive very carefully. I mean, one of the routes that we used this morning was WF Ngomo, and that road, actually, some parts of it were actually, you could see that there's flooding, and motorists had to be extremely vigilant when they were driving when you drive actually in that road. And you're right, one of the things that is making the situation even worse in the capital is that there's also traffic lights are actually off. So because of the power outages that we're currently experiencing in some parts of the city. I also want to show you that, you see, there's a police vehicle that's been stationed here, Mpo. This police vehicle essentially is here to tell people that you can't use the Hennops bridge. But also I want you to see something. There's also, on my left, there's people, those are people's gardens, and people are actually looking at their crops. And one of the I spoke to one of the gentlemen earlier who was saying that because the Hennops River burst, it also affected some of their crops. It in fact damaged some of their crops, and now they were actually quite worried because they're saying that they're hoping that at some point or early next year they'll be able to harvest, because their crops, some of them, have been washed away by the river and by the rains. It means that they'll have to redo to redo everything, and you can water. And I suppose the farmers, on the other hand, Mpo, would actually be happy with the rain that we actually currently are experiencing in some parts of the country, because, as you know, that some parts of South Africa are in fact experiencing severe drought, which has actually been quite costly to some farmers.
Thank you so much, Malungelo. Thank you for that update. Our reporter, Malungelo Booi, there at the Hennops Bridge in Centurion, tracking the situation there, as well as giving us some updates on the developments around separate areas and different areas of the country experiencing severe flooding. We know that the city of Tshwane has been one of the worst affected, as the rains are expected to continue up until Wednesday.